Welcome to Filmmakers Focus. I'm Doc Kennedy. In this week's minicast, we're talking 5 podcasts every indie filmmaker should subscribe to. So obviously there's more than 5 filmmaking podcasts out there, but we're highlighting these 5 because they're on my playlist. There's something I listen to weekly. I get a ton out of these shows. And another thing is all 5 of these people have been guests on Filmmakers Focus. And I think it's important for us to support those who have supported us. So we'll do another 5 down the road, but we'll start out with this 5. And what I love about this as well is that they all have shows that are specific subgenre of the filmmaking industry. So we're going to be talking screenwriting, acting, post-work, indie film, and beyond. And to me, that's important to get to know all of these areas specifically in better depth because as indie filmmakers, we're having to do a lot of the work ourselves. Even if we're not doing the work ourselves, that we just know what the other people are doing so that we can keep tabs on what's going down. So these are in no specific order, but I think number 1 should just be number 1. And of course, that's the number 1 rated show on iTunes, Indie Film Hustle with Alex Ferrari. What I love about it is Alex has a unique perspective of being in LA for 20 plus years, working in indie film there. So he's taking all of that knowledge and he's giving it to us. The podcasts are great, his guests are fantastic, and the training goes beyond the podcast to actual courses that you can take with Alex. And that's definitely something I highly recommend you checking out. I had the pleasure of taking Alex's Twitter course, and that's totally changed the scope of how I handle social media. And that's just one course. So head on over to Indie Film Hustle, check that out. There's links to these shows in the show notes at dockennedy.com. Just click on the Filmmakers Focus logo, take you right to it. Next is a podcast called Selling Your Screenplay, hosted by Ashley Scott Myers. What I love about Ashley is he shares at the beginning of each episode what he has going on. He'll tell us some of the struggles, some of the successes he's had, and it's relatable. You know, this is a guy that's a working screenwriter who's working on productions that are being purchased. You know, some aren't, and he's just working through all of those. But he's a working screenwriter, and we can share in that journey that he's taking on and feel like we're not doing this alone. And then the guests that he has on, they all have work that's been optioned, and they get to plug that. A lot of times it's work that you're able to actually see, so they're films that have been produced already. And that's exciting because it's one thing to write a screenplay, but it's a total another to actually sell it. And that's what Ashley helps you understand is what it takes to actually sell your screenplay. Next is a podcast called Actors Talk with Tommy G. Kendrick. Tommy is an actor, been an actor for 30 plus years, but the podcast is much beyond acting. He has guests on that are talking about producing, networking, directing, and on the acting end, how to handle yourself as a professional actor. A lot of times actors are going in kind of blind, and he helps us open our eyes. That's what I really love about this show. And I love Tommy. He's just a great guy that really has a heart to help people take that next step in their acting journey. So again, that's Actors Talk Podcast. Next is a show called All Things Post. That's hosted by Neil Galarte. Neil's been a good friend of mine in the podcast community, and I love All Things Post because he gets guests on that are talking about editing for TV, editing for features. The guests are going to fill you in on what it takes to take your editing to the next level. You know, the type of struggles that they're going through, the types of things that they're overcoming. So again, that's All Things Post. Last but not least is a podcast called Church Films, hosted by Jacob Keenum. I think church films might get a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a bad rap, but I think people miss out on it because they get this preconceived notion, if church is involved, I'm not involved. And I'm here to tell you that if that is the case, you're missing out on some great content that's going to help you as a filmmaker. The guests Jacob has on are great. They're going to teach you a lot of things that are going to help you grow as filmmakers. And Jacob has a new tool out that's helping video producers increase their income. And I think we're all down for that. So Jacob's going to be our guest next week. Make sure you check out that episode because he's going to talk about the new tools that he's working on. And I think increased income is something that we're all for. So make sure you check out churchfilms.com. And as we wrap up here, head on over to Twitter, follow us at Filmmakers Focus. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram with the same. If you can leave us an iTunes review, that would be great. iTunes reviews are kind of the currency of the podcast world. It means a lot to podcasters as we give you this content for free. So I look forward to hearing from you. Action on Twitter especially has been awesome. Want to hear more from you guys, what you got going on, questions, just comments on the shows. Love hearing all of that stuff. Anything I can be doing for you, help serve you, let me know. I'll do my best to accommodate. And with that, we will see you next time. Go and grow.